Hi! It's 12:30 on a Thursday. You know what that means. Ounce of Prevention chat time with Dr. Stephanie Fine. That's me. And I'm so excited to be here with you. This is a fun topic for me. And that is, your body is not a garbage can. Now, in the blog, which you can sign up for at stephaniefinemd.com, you get it every Thursday. Thursday morning, bright and early. Well, bright and early if you're on the West Coast. It's not as bright and early if you're on the East Coast. But this idea that your body's not a garbage can is so vital. And if it's not something that's sort of internalized and understood, that is a great place to start looking for ways that you might be overeating or not valuing yourself or things that you accept. I'll show you how. So the idea that your body's not a garbage can means that if there was some food that you would throw out, or crumbs or something, eating it, a lot of people might throw that out. But if you think to yourself, oh, I should eat that, I don't want it to go to waste, then you're the garbage can. You're being the garbage can. I had that epiphany in a moment one time, and it really has stuck with me. I'm like, hey, I'm not a garbage can. It's pretty easy for us to say I'm not a garbage can. So, I mean, even there might be little sticking points here and there, but in general, so what happens is waste is right below that, right? The idea of wasting food can be a really big deal for a lot of us. And a lot of that came from, depending on your parents' era and how you were brought up, to not waste food. Now, the way I see that is a little bit different, which is, if we're talking about food, and actually any food, I was going to say in a restaurant or at home, but any food, you've already paid for it, right? It's done. The food, it's already paid for, whether you eat it or you don't. So what you paid for was the opportunity to eat this food. Sometimes you'll take advantage of that opportunity. Sometimes you won't. And sometimes you end up, like if it's a bag of chips, you end up eating 3/4 of it because the rest of it is not that it's inedible, but it's not up to your standards of what you're going to eat. You deserve to eat the good stuff. Chips are interesting. I keep bringing up chips because I think of them as a whole chip. But another example I have is things like grapes. Like if they go bad or things go bad, I'm not saying we do a party dance when we throw away food, and especially if it's gone bad, it's like a bummer. But what it is a call for us to examine what's going on. Did we go away for the weekend and we didn't plan that well, and then it went to waste? Or we really want to like kale, but we don't like kale. And so the kale we buy just to make us feel better in the store for the checkout person to see, but then we never ever eat it and it just gets thrown away. Costco's another place to evaluate about wasting food. If you need, I remember once I needed an onion. I needed like 1 or 2 onions. And at Costco, you cannot buy 1 or 2 anything. So I ended up buying a lot. That was terrible. I ended up using a bunch of them, but it didn't feel like enough to justify it. So my point about the food that goes bad or that sort of thing is to then be very realistic about what you're going to eat. You remember, I love planning, and planning would fix this kind of thing. If you had a list at the supermarket, that sort of thing. Every once in a while, we'll buy something and it's not good. And sometimes you actually can, depending on the situation, you can take it back. But sometimes it's just one of those things, the first half was good, the second half, whatever. That's part of life, right? That accepting that there's some good and some bad in life, and we can move on past it. That's a lesson too, my friend. All these things are sort of mini versions of things we would see bigger in life. One of my very favorite sayings is, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And it takes sometimes a lot of people they need convincing of this, but if you really look at your life, you'll see that it's true. If you're someone who's sort of a black and white thinker, all or nothing, good or bad, terrible, then there's no room for that gray piece. And when there's no room for the gray piece, there is no grace for yourself, especially, but often not for others. But really the bigger issue is that there's not grace for yourself. Having these, they're not even mess ups, but having things where you end up throwing away food that otherwise would have been good, but it isn't. You see what I mean? This is how it really is. It ends up being a lesson learned, and it certainly doesn't mean that you have to eat bad food because you bought it and now it turned bad. Like, that's going to be a learning lesson and something that you can maybe change in the future, but it doesn't mean you have to ingest it and sort of punish yourself, which is really what's happening. So I find this to be a very fascinating topic, and the idea of waste. Okay? So one of the things with waste is, you've bought the food and it feels like you're wasting the money value. As I pointed out, you've already spent the money value. So it doesn't matter what happens. If you lost it, left it at the market, whatever, you bought that. But also think about if you are eating it and you're gaining weight, then you have to buy clothes. It's just a different way of having the money. So you start wearing the food that wasn't good to start with, but you eat it anyway. And then you start not losing, not maintaining, and actually gaining, and then you end up spending money there too. So it on a bigger scale, where's the waste? So these are all really important questions to be able to ask. One of my ways that I can check in with something, whether it's a good enough quality, when I'm thinking about either throwing it away or not, is would I give this to a guest? So would I present these chips, again, with the chips, would I present these to a guest? Well, not if it's all the crumbly, that means it's not good. It means it's not worthy of your eating it. Of your enjoying the food meal. You should have good stuff. And if that means you have to start going to a different market, or it means you have to buy less of this and more of that, it may mean a shift in how you're going to be buying your food and how you're going to be preparing it and how often you're going to buy it and all that sort of stuff. But then that's required because food is enjoyable and should be. And I want to make sure that you feel that you deserve to have the good food. I know that sounds basic, but if we examine it, it really can be something there. So that's the garbage, that's the waste, and the last one is this piece of only the best. So can you imagine if every meal you only had delicious things? Beautiful looking, delicious things. All your senses would be used, right? Visually it would be great, it would smell great, it would taste great. This fills you up in ways that enhance the physical satisfaction of the food. And that's what I want for you. I want every part of your life to be elevated, the quality to be elevated. I want your friendships to be amazing. I want your family dynamics to be fantastic. I want your food to be incredible. I want your time to be well spent in things that you enjoy. These are all, when we stop accepting the scraps in food, we will stop accepting it other places too. That's how you do one thing is how you do everything. And let me tell you something, you can change it. You can change the way you interact with things. It's amazing, but once your eyes are open to it, it can happen. So I want you to start, we can start with everything in the food department. Throwing away stuff that's not good enough for you and looking for the best. Increasing your quality. I remember, again, this is sort of stuck to me when a woman was telling me that she had ordered like a fruit salad, at a diner kind of place, and she got the fruit salad and it wasn't looking nice. And she asked the waitress to come over and she said, this fruit's had it. Like, I need, can I have more? And of course she was able to get a fresher amount. And I loved that story because that's right. You don't have, yes, she was given it, but she did not have to accept it. And that's what I'm hoping that this chat has put a little seed in there to start thinking about, the scraps of the kid's sandwich, is that the best way I can eat a sandwich? If I want a sandwich, I'm gonna make myself a sandwich. Now, if you love the ends of sandwiches, that's different. You plan for it and you have an end of a sandwich, but you could also make your own end of a sandwich. You know what I mean? So I don't want you to be an afterthought. I don't want your eating to be an afterthought. I want it to be an enjoyable part of your day, to get fuel and to feel satisfied in more ways than just your tum-tum. All right, my friends, that's what I got for you today. I am sending you love. You are far from a garbage can. You're amazing. You deserve high quality everything in life, and it is up to you to determine that and to make that happen. Because let me tell you something, there will always be someone who's trying to give you the dregs. There is always going to be that. But you have the power to change that. And I'm sending you love. Bye.